Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So the topic of today's contemplation is owed to longtime subscriber Dutch Courage. You know, there's probably about a dozen people who've been subscribed to me pretty much from the start. And to those of y'all who've been here from the get-go, man, I really appreciate still seeing those comments because I've had a pretty high turnover rate on this channel. And it's because I bounce around a lot. I talk about, one day I'm talking about gear reviews. The next day you got All-American Prepper out there throwing out his jive. The next day I'm talking about after the collapse, and I'm talking about psychology, then the meaning of life. People say, well, why don't you split your channels up and separate the audience? It's a big commitment to do that. And I respect people who do it, like Brad Harris and Kelly Harris. They split up their channel. They had Full Spectrum Survival, and then they've broken off now into the homestead. It takes a long time to build up a channel. So me, I just take a risk, I roll the dice, and if I get a lot of turnover on the channel, which I've probably had about 60,000 people exit the channel, I got 150,000 subscribers, most of those are errors because I get a lot of messages saying, hey, I was unsubscribed from your channel. It's an unsubscribe glitch. It's YouTube's fault. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about today, Dutch Courage gave me a thought. And I started thinking about this idea again of when is it a good idea to be the tactical badass. Ethical Preparedness did a video, I can't remember what it was called, something along the lines of when you should be the Grayman and when you shouldn't. The main gist of that video, which was a great video by the way, it was basically that there's a time and place to be the Grayman, and then there's a time and place to exhibit a more dominant presence. The video that Dutch Courage was commenting on was the video I just did with the top 10 prepping wish list. Now, that video was a little bit of fantasy, obviously. It wasn't meant to be taken 100% seriously. There's a lot of things that should have been on that list that probably weren't because it was a wish list. So if you could have anything you wanted, why would you pick a donkey over a frickin' zombie safe house? In the future, I'm gonna make a video which is more realistic, which is more geared towards self-reliance. Things you would need, say, on a farm, and the top 10 things that, I would want for my first acreage or farm. Maybe I'll do that video at some point down the road. Now, the comment that Dutch left was something along the lines of, wouldn't it be better not to have any of this stuff because you would make yourself a target? And that all depends. There's two ways to think about this. I knew a homeless guy once, and he insisted on not carrying around flashy gear because he didn't want to get robbed. It was his lifestyle. This guy didn't have to be homeless. There's a lot of people out there who are homeless who actually choose to be homeless. And it's not that they're necessarily mentally ill, maybe it's just their personality. So anyways, some of you know the story. I tried to give this guy a backpack because this is in my Bugout bag building days earlier in my preparedness career, if you will. And, I wanted to outfit this guy with a bunch of cool gear because I knew he was homeless. Give him a cool flashlight, give him a cool backpack, stuff like that. Didn't want anything to do with it. He wanted the tattered old, stuff because that's how he had to survive on the street. He's rubbing shoulders with people who don't have much. And he knows that if he looks like he has something, somebody's going to come and try to get it. Now, that's an effective strategy in his world. But on the other hand, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world with the most powerful military in the world. What if at some point, they just said, oh, well, we shouldn't be showing all our stuff because then somebody might come and try to get us. Well, obviously, they're such a dominant force that nobody's going to try to mess with them. So you can take the strategy of the nomadic homeless person and forego all the worldly possessions, but you also then limit your ability to have profound influence on large groups of people and exert your power over certain regions. So there's definitely a time and place to flex on people with what you got. it depends on who you're going up against. If you are going up against people who are trained and they can read that you're just a person who has a lot of cool tactical gear, but you don't know how to use it, then sure, absolutely, you probably wouldn't want to keep more of a low profile, and it's going to backfire on you. But as Ethical Preparedness indicated in his great video, if you have a group of people in uniforms, and the whole idea with the uniform is to create a sense of commonality and create a sense of, you know, we are a well-oiled machine. We function together. We put the group over the individual, in a sense, at least in that moment in battle. And it just shows that you're professionals. You have your stuff together. You know what you're doing. So there's definitely a time and place for tactics, but it's only when you're in a large group and you have a lot of really trained people who know how to use that stuff. Indeed, just the presence of something like that can be an intimidating force, regardless of who's at the helm. So it can be a deception almost. It's like some 4-foot elf can pull up next to you in his jacked up truck, which is from bottom to top 8 feet in the air, and you just feel, at least for an instant, you know, you feel a little intimidated because it encroaches on your space, and you know, there's just an automatic physiological reaction of intimidation. It's just in our psychology that, you know, bigger is what the animal kingdom uses to make it, to intimidate its opponents. So it's, you know, the peacock does the wing thing, you know, everything stands on its hind legs, bears, everything does that to try to get that, elicit that fear response. So even if you aren't trained in it, there's still going to be some of that psychological effect. But like I said, it depends on who you're going up against. If you're a lone wolf in a grid down situation and you don't know how to use the stuff and you're not Batman, then, you know, maybe that's what we should start calling lone wolf tactards, is Batmen. That's going to be their new name, Batman. The all-American prepper types are Batmen. If you are not the real Batman, the real Bruce Wayne, multi-billionaire, philanthropist, vigilante, then you're going to get dead real quick. Now, there's a time to be the gray man. There's a time to be the tactical badass. People ask me, Nate, you don't have any military training, military experience, and you're right, I don't. How does that make me a person who knows anything about survival and emergency preparedness? And I tell you the same thing I told this TV producer, which phoned me up the other day. And I said, look, I'm just a guy who, the average guy who wants to get home to his family. That old cliche. But I know how to think. In my post-collapse community, I'm like an advisor of sorts. I serve some sort of political angle, whether that's networking, you know, bringing people together. Because what I've done on this channel is I've brought in a lot of very diverse opinions into my platform as interviewees. And I'm going to continue to do that into the future. People from the right, people from the left. I want to get people like Viking Preparedness on here to do an interview. I'd like to interview Ethical Preparedness, but he's hell-bent on wearing that mask. And I tell you, if that guy just got over that, unveiled himself to the world, his channel would skyrocket because he's got a lot of excellent knowledge. And I know the reasons why he does it. I respect it, but I also know that if his channel's ever going to blow, it's going to be when he loses the whole Wilson shtick. You know, the Wilson from Tim the Toolman Taylor, the guy that peers over the fence, you know, like this all the time. Once he loses that, his channel's going to blow. Now, this might conflict somewhat with the Art of War strategy, in that when you are weak, appear strong, and when you are very strong, appear weak. To some extent, you see this with countries like North Korea, who frequently have military parades to show how strong and powerful they are, when in reality they're quite weak as a nation. Their gross domestic product is a small fraction of their southern neighbors, even though they're the same people, they're the same brain power, they're the same capabilities, but just under an inferior system. So let me know what you think about this in the comments. Time to be the Grayman, time to be the Tactical All-American Prepper Tactard. When is the right time? And along the lines of tactical, right now we have 20% off Army Tech flashlights on the website. Excellent deal. You're going to be saving between 20 and 40 bucks off these flashlights. They're really high-end, durable, military grade flashlights. And I say military grade with confidence. Go check them out, CanadianPreparedness.com. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this YouTube channel is to support yourself by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com or BugoutRoll.ca. Premium quality gear at the best possible price using the incredibly secure and easy to use Shopify platform. We offer free shipping to the United States for orders over $200 USD and free shipping to Canada over $75. So support the channel by supporting yourself.